There are more than 160 unidentified decedents buried in Clark County cemeteries. But with the help of the latest forensic science and a $400,000 grant from the Department of Justice, the coroner hopes to determine just who are some of these John and Jane Does. For the next 18 months, the coroner will exhume, sample, and do DNA testing on as many as 50 missing person cases. This first exhumation was a homicide victim, a man believed to be Antonio Marino from El Salvador, who was 35 to 40 years old when he died in 1997. When detectives started their investigation, they were frustrated not knowing who he was.
When you have names on people, and you have at least a circle of friends that you can talk to, and you can come up with a time frame of who was last to see him, where did you see him, and it gives you a place to start. The frustration in this case is that we had no place to start other than right there in the desert area.
The police investigation led to a suspect who gave a full confession, but while the crime had been solved, a piece of the puzzle was still missing.
It's one of the few homicides that were solved where nobody knows who the victim was. I mean, they know the victim, but they don't know the identity of the victim. So, huge amount of credit to the police department, to the investigators who are involved in this case. That doesn't happen very often. In future cases, you're going to see these are going to be folks that we do not know who they are, and that's probably one of the reasons why, certainly has a factor of why it has not been identified or solved. If it's not identified, it probably won't be solved.
In hopes of identifying the victim, the coroner's office will send an entire bone from the remains to an independent lab to extract DNA.
So that it does not impact in any way current cases that are going on in Las Vegas, Clark County. So that we don't have to worry about that because we're doing some case of old, some case of today, we'll have to wait.
The coroner will take full dental and body x-rays, and the medical examiner will review the remains. Unlike television forensic crime shows, it could take 90 days for the coroner's office to receive DNA results.
Then that information is uploaded to a national database, both NamUs.org and the CODIS system, which is a DNA database, which will immediately put it into the comparison process. So if anybody's reported a loved one missing and they've provided a DNA sample, it would be compared against that. Then we're also going to go out and, if we have a family, in this case we may have a family, get DNA from them and do the comparison.
It's possible the lab might not be able to extract DNA because of environmental issues, or there won't be a database match. But even so, getting victim information into a national database now could be a match for a future case. Of course, the coroner's office, prosecutors, and the police are hoping for the best outcome.
I would feel that the job is done, that everything as far as this case is complete once we get him identified and notify the family.
To determine which of the unidentified decedents to exhume, Murphy said they looked at factors such as availability, amount of time interred, probability of solving the case, and could they obtain a family sample for a match.
Were they the victim of a violent crime? You know, those are the kinds of things that we wanted to look at. And we've looked at, another thing we looked at was how much science was applied to it at the time of the original case. Would it benefit us to apply more science?
The coroner's office will repeat the process as many times during the next 18 months as the grant money will cover.
Nobody speaks for these folks. Because they're unidentified, there's no voice that's standing outside our office that's saying, why aren't you doing more for our loved one? Because nobody knows to say that. There's nobody that's acting as that voice. I think it's incumbent upon us to give the same quality of service to everybody, no matter what their station in life was, no matter who they might or might not have been, and whether we know or not know who they are. They all deserve the same treatment.
The coroner's office has identified 32 missing persons since 2002, when it launched Las Vegas Unidentified. The website posts details of missing person cases. It was used as one of the models for the National Missing and Unidentified Persons Initiative to assist law enforcement, the forensic community, and the public with identifying decedents.